Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a drill. President Ibrahim Traoré is about to address the nation live, and we've just received word that he will be making arrests. On camera, it started as an ordinary Tuesday in Ouagadougou. Streets bustled, radios hummed, children played barefoot near dusty alleyways. But within minutes, everything froze. Shops closed. Markets fell silent. Phones rang. Every screen across Burkina Faso lit up with a single frame, the national flag. And beneath it, a caption in red dot, the camera cut to the presidential hall. President Ibrahim Traoré sat still, his eyes locked on the lens as if staring directly into every home. "Brothers, sisters, my fellow Burkinab," he began. "I swore to protect this land. And today, I act not just as your president, but as your son, your brother, your soldier." His voice was calm. Behind him, 6 chairs stood empty. And then, slowly, one by one, 6 men were led in, each flanked by military escorts, each once a symbol of power in Burkina Faso. Ministers, businessmen, a former general. Today, the truth is no longer a rumor. These men betrayed our nation. Gasps echoed through the country, in homes, in cafes, even in remote villages. Children stared, wide-eyed. Mothers held their breath. But the story how these 6 fell started. Long before this broadcast, Ibrahim Traoré was never meant to rule. He was a son of the soil, born in the rural town of Bandakai. His father was a schoolteacher, his mother a farmer. He joined the military young, not for glory, but to protect. By the time he was 28, he'd seen too much. Puppet regimes, foreign interference, corruption that ran deeper than wells in the Sahel. But what hurt most was betrayal from within. One name kept haunting him. Minister Khalifa Zongo, once a mentor. Now, the man who secretly signed away mining rights to foreign companies under the table. Zongo wasn't alone. Ibrahim dug deeper, found 5 more hidden in plain sight. Men who wore patriotism on their lapels, but sold their people behind closed doors. He knew he couldn't confront them quietly. This corruption thrived in silence. So he chose the one place where lies couldn't hide, 0, 2 months before the arrest. Traoré launched what the world thought was a transparency initiative. Ministers would report their finances publicly. In reality, it was bait. His intelligence team tracked bank transfers, offshore accounts, and coded emails. What they uncovered was staggering. $300 million in illegal oil, profits diverted to Swiss banks. Gold mine contracts signed with French firms without parliamentary approval, payments to mercenaries to destabilize border regions. The 6 men thought they were untouchable. He was counting every move. Late one night, in a dimly lit war room beneath the presidential palace, Traoré reviewed every file with his inner circle. "We do this," he whispered, "not just for justice, but for every child who goes to bed hungry. While these men eat with foreign silver." His team nodded. The trap was set. The arrest would happen live, but not everyone agreed. The trap was set. The arrest would happen live, but not everyone agreed. A general and the military general Doumbia pleaded with him. "This will divide the country. It could start a war." Traoré looked him dead in the eyes. "Then let the war be truth against treason." Back on the live feed, the camera zoomed in as Traoré stood. He walked toward the 6. "Khalifa Zongo, you took $47 million meant for our schools." Zongo didn't speak. He couldn't. Traoré turned to the camera. "To the people watching, this is your justice." And with one signal, ... Zongo screamed as 2 soldiers grabbed his arms, dragging him out of his chair. The other 5 men stiffened, eyes darting between the president and the cameras. One tried to stand, another muttered a prayer. But none of them moved fast enough. The soldiers were faster, trained. Precise. Traoré's voice echoed against steady as stone. "Let it be known," he said, turning once more to the camera, "this is not vengeance. This is accountability." Outside the palace, thousands had gathered in the capital square. Some chanted, some stood silent. But all of them were watching the live feed from a giant screen set up by the Ministry of Information. A woman held her baby to her chest, whispering, "He's doing what no one else ever dared." Inside, as Zongo and the others were escorted out one by one, Traoré raised a folder for the nation to see. Every contract, every signature, every offshore transfer. It's all here. And this, he held up a small gold-plated pen. Is the pen used to sell us? It was handed to me by a janitor who found it in the wrong office. His face hardened. Even the lowest among us can expose the highest betrayal. The moment the arrests went live, the internet exploded. #Traitors trended globally. News outlets across the US, Europe, and Africa ran headlines like "Burkina Faso stuns the world." President Traoré arrests traitors, live on TV, Africa's new lion. Traoré declares war on corruption, but not everyone celebrated. At the French embassy, alarms blared. The ambassador made a midnight call to Paris. "He's just exposed our deals with Zongo," the ambassador whispered. "And Wersi's got evidence." In Washington, a State Department official reviewed a report. "We thought he'd be another puppet," the analyst muttered. "But this guy, he's ripping the whole game board apart." Meanwhile, at home, Traoré knew what was coming: retaliation. The old guard didn't fall without pulling others down. And then, it began. Just 3 hours after the arrests, a convoy headed to a government gold depot was ambushed. Explosions rocked the convoy. 3 soldiers died. It was no coincidence. The message was clear. The traitors weren't acting alone. Traoré gathered his Security Council that same night. "They're trying to shake us." His interior minister said, "They won't stop," Traoré responded, "unless we finish this. All of it." That night, while reviewing intelligence, Traoré received a hand-delivered note. No sender, no seal, just one sentence: "Check the ledger at Horizon Bank account ending in 0392. Horizon Bank was based in Geneva. The 0392 account belonged to General Doumbé, his own trusted advisor. The same General Hood told him not to go public, the one who warned him this could divide the country. Heart-racing, Traoré summoned his intelligence chief, confirmed this. Quietly, 3 hours later, the truth came crashing down. General Doumbia had received $18 million wired 2 days before the arrests. And worse, a secondary file revealed Doumbia had made a call to mercenaries in Niger. Just hours before the gold convoy ambush, Traoré sat in silence. His inner circle stared. No one spoke. Finally, he whispered, "I trusted him like a brother." The silence was broken by the voice of his advisor, Fatimota, the only civilian in the room. "Then let him fall like the others. You showed the nation the first 6, now show them the 7th. The next morning, the nation woke to another unexpected broadcast. But this time, it wasn't from the hall. It was from Traoré's private office. He looked tired, weathered, but unshaken. "My people, we have more truth to uncover," he said, voice heavier now. "There is one more." And then, to the world's shock, the doors opened behind him. 2 soldiers entered, escorting General Doumbia. Still in uniform, the general didn't resist. His eyes betrayed defeat. "Betrayal," Traoré said, "hurts most when it wears the mask of loyalty. But justice must be blind to emotion." He turned to Doumbia. "You are hereby relieved of all duties and charged with high treason." As Doumbia was escorted out, there was no cheering, no celebration, only silence. Even the crowds outside the palace lowered their voices. Traoré stood. "We are rebuilding from ashes. But let these ashes never hide the bones of betrayal again." He ended the broadcast with a simple line: "Burkina Faso belongs to its people, not to traitors, not to foreign hands." Then the screen cut to black. But as Traoré stepped away from the cameras, his phone buzzed with a message from his intelligence chief. "We found something else. Another name, not in Burkina Faso, but in Washington." Traoré stared at the name on the screen, and for the first time, he hesitated. Senator Malcolm R. Hayes, a name not unfamiliar in West Africa. Chair of the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Subcommittee on African Affairs. Charismatic, powerful, praised publicly for promoting stability in the Sahel. But now, attached to a bank record, $22 million. Transferred from Horizon Bank Geneva, labeled simply, Consultancy, Zongo Holdings. His throat tightened. Is this confirmed? His intelligence chief, Colonel Nabier, nodded. Triple verified. It was laundered through a humanitarian aid group, then wired directly to his personal foundation. Traoré didn't speak. For a long time, he just stared at the wall behind the desk, a faded photo of Sankara, eyes forever watching. When Traoré first rose to power, he knew foreign interests would test him. The gold, the lithium, the oil beneath Burkina Faso wasn't just wealth, it was control. The old colonial hands never truly left. They simply wore new gloves, loans, diplomats, investments, aid. But Hayes, he was different. He had once visited Ouagadougou, shared a meal with Traoré, promised support, said the US wanted to partner, not exploit. Traoré had believed him not as a fool, but as a hopeful man. And now, that same man was listed as a silent partner in Zongo's shell company. Traoré whispered to himself, so it wasn't just our traitors, the empire helped build them. In a closed-door meeting that night, Traoré's council debated. We can't name an American senator, one minister warned. It could trigger sanctions. Isolation? Fatoumata leaned forward. And if we stay silent, what's the point of everything we've done? Traoré remained silent. Fatoumata continued, voice trembling. My brother died fighting in the north because mercenaries were paid with stolen gold, paid by men like Zongo, protected by men like Hayes. If you stop now, you're no different from them. That cut deep. Outside the palace, the people were restless again, murmurs of more names, more betrayals, but also fear. Would the West retaliate? Would the country be crushed under the weight of one name? Then, one morning, a letter arrived at the palace gates, handwritten, no seal, addressed simply to the man who dares. Traoré read it in silence. I'm just a teacher from Atlanta, but I followed your fight. I saw the broadcast. I know Senator Hayes. He doesn't speak for all of us. Speak the truth, Mr. President. Don't stop now. You're not alone. It was signed. Gloria L. Sanders, mother of two, voter American that night. As the rain swept through the city, Traoré stood alone on the balcony, letter in hand, and he made a decision. The following day, without announcement, Traoré stepped in front of the camera once more. This time, not in uniform, just a plain black shirt. His voice was calm, but his eyes burned. To the people of Burkina Faso and to every soul watching around the world. He lifted a folder marked Washington-Geneva Transfers. I did not want this fight, but I will not run from it. He laid out the evidence. Bank records, contracts, communications. He never said Hayes' name directly, but the documents spoke loudly. And then, his final line, you cannot lecture us on democracy while buying our silence with dirty money. Burkina Faso will not be bought. The response was immediate. In the US, activists rallied. We stand. With Traoré signs popped up in New York, LA, Atlanta. Journalists dug in. A major expose hit the airwaves, Zongo's Web, how Western interests fueled Sahel corruption. Senator Hayes denied it all, but a week later, under mounting pressure, he stepped down from his post pending investigation, and in Burkina Faso, the mood shifted from fear to pride. Traoré's approval soared, not because he exposed a foreign figure, but because he never blinked. One quiet evening, as the sun sank behind the palace, Traoré sat with Fatoumata in the courtyard. She asked softly, do you ever wonder what happens next? He smiled. I do, but for the first time, I believe we get to write that chapter. And then a young soldier rushed in with urgent news. There's been an interception on the Ghana border, a convoy of unmarked vehicles. We found something, Traoré stood. What did you find? The soldier hesitated, then whispered, it's documents, contracts, they mention ... uranium. Traoré gripped the folder marked uranium. And he knew this wasn't over. The 6 traitors had fallen. The foreign ties had been exposed. But what he held now was different, deeper, older. He opened the folder in the war room, surrounded by his closest advisors, inside aerial surveillance photos, handwritten contracts, and a map drawn decades ago. Long before he was born, marked in red ink, Project Silence. He flipped to the last page. It read, confirmed uranium deposits under Sector 9B, lease agreed upon by special agreement, bypassing national registry. French diplomatic seal enclosed. Fatoumata spoke first. They've known for decades. And they've kept it hidden. Colonel Nabier's hands trembled. They've already begun construction. Deep tunnels, unregistered, hidden behind humanitarian permits. A wave of quiet swept the room. Everyone could feel it. The betrayal ran deeper than any of them imagined. For months, France had claimed its only interest in Burkina Faso was security collaboration, but Traoré now saw the truth. Sector 9, bilocated in the mineral-rich northern province, was under tight lockdown, patrolled by aid contractors. But now he knew those were armed private guards, French-funded mining uranium, and worse. Profits from the mine were being funneled through a corporation registered in Luxembourg. With ties to 3 of the 6 arrested men, Traoré leaned forward, fingers steepled. They stole from our schools, our hospitals, and now they want to steal our future energy. Nabayer looked up. We have 2 options, Mr. President. We confront them, or we shut it down quietly. Traoré didn't hesitate. We confront before the next broadcast. Something unexpected happened. A video surfaced online, a group of teenage girls from Dori dancing in the streets, waving handmade signs. One, read, "Uranium belongs to the people." Another, "No more secrets." Within hours, thousands joined. Teachers, farmers, even elders who once feared speaking out. A peaceful march spread across Ouagadougou. No violence. Just voices. The chant echoed through the streets. Burkina Faso is not for sale. That night, Traoré walked out to the presidential balcony, watched the crowds flood the capital square, and felt something shift. Fear had been replaced by fire. Traoré addressed the nation one final time. The camera angle tighter, the tone more solemn. This is not a story of uranium. It is a story of dignity. He revealed everything. The secret, mines, the stolen contracts, the international backdoor deals dating back 30 years. Then, he took out a match, lit the corner of one contract, and watched it burn on live television. Let this be the last time someone signs away our future without facing the fire of our people. He concluded, we have nothing to fear because we have nothing to hide. We are no longer silent. Within 48 hours, France denied all involvement, claimed independent contractors acted without state knowledge, but it was too late. The mines were seized. The companies exposed, international pressure mounted, but Traoré stood firm. He invited independent African inspectors, formed a sovereign mineral trust, and in a move that shocked the world, signed a public agreement with 3 Sahelian nations to form the first regional energy alliance based on shared resources and no foreign ownership. It was called the Sankara Pact. 6 months later, a small school in Bondakai, Traoré's hometown, got its first solar-powered computer lab, funded not by loans, but by uranium profits now belonging to the people. And in Washington, Senator Hayes resigned permanently. A Senate committee was formed to investigate foreign influence in Africa, and the letter from Gloria Sanders, framed, hanging in Traoré's office. Late one evening, as the Sahel winds whispered through the capital, Fatoumata asked him, "Do you think it's over now?" Traoré looked out the window. The city glowed. Children played in the street. The crowd was gone, but their spirit remained. "No," he said, "but I think we finally remember who we are." And then quietly, not just a nation, but a people who refuse to be sold. The screen fades to black. One final message appears. This was not just a takedown, it was a beginning.